Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and this is my third time trying to record this video. Hopefully, it will be to my liking and will be cut down some because y'all know how I get to rambling. Even though I'm trying to make sure that y'all know all the information up front, it just be too much, and I don't want to subject y'all to that. Let me go ahead and show y'all what the shirt here for. Pause it if you're not able to see what everything is and read it. But yeah, that's what's going on. Okay, y'all. So y'all see the title. Let me go ahead and get into it. I'm gonna try my best to not go too long. Okay. So in the summer of 2006, I had gotten this body wash from my uncle. My uncle at the time, a lot of y'all might know who my uncle was if you are from Montgomery and you have ever frequented the Macedonia community area, especially going to the community center. My uncle used to be over that. His nickname was Sonny. So if you knew Sonny, that was my uncle. That was my mama's brother. He passed away in like 2010. um, so yeah, one day he let me have this body wash, and this body wash smelled amazing. It had shea butter and cocoa butter in it. Okay, so me being stupid and acting as if I never learned nothing in my life, I put some of it down in that area and was washing with it. Right. Um, Not too long after that, like within a day's time, I ended up wiping because I peed. And then I was like, wait a minute, I know I put the tissue in the right spot. What is going on? Child, I had overgrowth situation going on down there. I was like, what is going on? And then like something told me, said, put your hand down there. So I put this part of my hand down there. I was like, what is this? So my mind immediately is like, please do not tell me that from when I've gotten raped, something lay dormant in me and it decided to rear its ugly head all of a sudden now. So I'm like, well, let me see what it's looking like. I put a mirror down there, look at it. I end up putting my phone down there with a camera on it, taking pictures of it so I can really make sure I'm looking at it to just rule out everything. Because I'm like, it's given like it's supposed to be like herpes or something. And I'm like, genital warts or something. And I'm like, like, it's given something. It's given something. And I was just like, the look of it is like, to me it's looking like that's what it is, but I'm like, I'm not itching, I'm not burning, I'm not irritated. Like, had I not put my hand down there, I wouldn't have even known it was there. So what is going on? And I've never had anything like this to ever happen to me in my life. Never had any sexually transmitted diseases. The only thing I'd ever had in my life, the worst thing I've ever had, was a yeast infection. So I was just like, okay, what is going on? So for me, I'm like, after analyzing in my own mind, I'm thinking maybe I finally have contracted something that I never knew that I contracted from when I had been raped. That's the only thing I could think of that might have been laying dormant, and then now it's out and about and doing what it want to do. Okay, y'all. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna panic. I need clarification. I'm gonna go to the clinic. Now, at the time, I was on my parents' insurance, on my dad's insurance, because I was under the age of 26 and I didn't have, a job like that. So, I didn't have no good insurance or whatever on my own at the time. Now, I was about to because not long after that, when I graduated, I started working for the state of Alabama. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm like, okay, this is perfect timing because it's about to be the 4th of July. Y'all, excuse me, y'all. I'm supposed to be winding down, going to sleep. I already took a nap earlier. I'm supposed to be going to sleep so I can go back to work. Um, Later on in the morning. So anyway, I'm like, okay, let me get my life together. It's 4th of July. Finna be the 4th of July. We gonna be off of 4th of July, so that means I'm gonna be able to go over here. I ain't gotta worry about missing a day because I'm the type of person that I like to get stuff done off rip as soon as a store open or as soon as something open, be done and beat the rush. I heard that that's what you have to do if you want to get in and get out in some decent amount of time if you're gonna go to the clinic. So I did that. Y'all tell me why when I went up in there, I'm looking and I'm like, okay, the people normally start coming around a certain time. What is going on? I was confused. I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, am I crazy? Looked at the clock, looking at my watch, looking at my phone. Y'all, at 7:30 or 8:30, see, because of how the time is back home versus the time here, I don't forgot if it was 7:30 or 8:30. I think it was 7:30. So 7:30, I start realizing, oh, ain't nobody gonna come because it's a holiday. Oh, okay. It might be 8:30. Whatever it is. Y'all, I don't even know what time nothing open no more. So I'm like, dang, I gotta come another day. So the next free day that I had, I was like, I'm going up in here ASAP. I'm not doing nothing else first. It's the first thing I'm gonna do. So when I went up in there, they called my name and I went to the back. A nurse was there. So I tried to be helpful. I was like, okay, come on, black nurse. So I got the black nurse. Man, this woman was trying me. She was over here like, she was asking me questions or whatever. She was like, when was the last time you had sex and all this other stuff? And do you use protection, whatever, whatever. So when she asked me, do I use protection? I said yes. So then she was like, you do know that oral sex is something that you can contract sexually transmitted diseases from too, right? And I was like, yes, I know. And I'm just like, why is she coming for me? Like, I wanted to read her so bad. I was just like, now, I wanted to be like, ma'am, I am fully aware. What I'm trying to tell you is, I've already told you that I do have a history. And that I've been, like, I told her I was raped. I have been raped. All these things have happened to me. So it's like, ma'am, I already know all of this. Why is you trying me, though? So anyway, we got through all of this. And they ended up testing me for everything. And they told me, all right, what we going to do is, we gonna send you somewhere after we do this pap smear. So they had already done all the STD testing and all that stuff. They told me as far as that part of the examination and all that stuff was concerned, they would call me if I had something. If I didn't have anything and all that, they wouldn't call me. They never called me because I didn't have any sexually transmitted diseases. Hallelujah in the name. So they do the pap smear, and I'm like, okay, man, that was so uncomfortable. Like, almost my entire life, whenever I've got a pap smear, it's been so uncomfortable. I don't know what it is. It was so borderline painful. And it's like, they have updated tools. Like, why is it hurting still? I remember one of the first times I got it as a child, I was like, oh no, y'all doing too much. So they ended up submitting my results and all this, submitting the sample or whatever that they got from it. So they ended up telling me that they were going to send me to another place in the building that actually they do like regular doctor's appointments and stuff for people, because they wanted to make sure that everything was what it needed to be. And they were going to reveal my results there. So I was like, okay. So then when the results came available, a slot opened up and I was able to get my results sooner, and I came in. So I came in, I put everything on hold. I didn't care if I had to go to class, if I go do my internship, I was going to do all that later. I told them, let my appointment, I said, whatever appointment you can give me earlier in the day, do that. I think I ended up having to go like at 10 in the morning. That was the earliest, 9 or 10. That was the earliest they could get me in. I said, okay, cool, whatever, I could work with it. Went up in there. They told me that my pap smear came back and it was abnormal. That wasn't anything that raised an eyebrow for me, because every single time I've ever had a pap smear, it was always abnormal. So I was like, okay. Like, I'm like, okay, you telling me something I don't know? Like, it just got to the point that that's just always what it's been. But this was a unique situation because this particular doctor was a woman, a black woman. And she had this literal exact same situation happen to her, where she had a little bit of something that she put down there that got down there was a little bit too much. And she had an allergic reaction to it or whatever. And the literal exact, because I'm over here, y'all, it was so bad that I'm over here trying to convince her, like, well, maybe I had something, whatever. She was like, you don't have anything. We already did your testing and you didn't have any sexually transmitted diseases. What has happened was it just allowed for that situation to happen, and luckily you acted on it and you caught it when you did, because that's what allowed you to come in to see us, to see if you had any sexually transmitted diseases. But she said that exact same situation happened to her, because I was confused. I was like, well, why did it come up like that, but it didn't itch. And you know, like she basically started taking over what I was saying because it happened to her. When I tell y'all, I had a sigh of relief because I was just like, well, I really thought that she was gonna look at me crazy, like, man, Heifer, don't nobody want to hear that. You got sexually transmitted disease. Don't nobody want to hear that. You over here trying to make excuses for something. That's what I thought was gonna happen. But I was like, you've had this happen to you? What? So anyway, given the information that she got from my past miss, she was like, but here's the bad news. And I'm looking like, what you mean bad news? She goes on to tell me that if she's not mistaken, she's pretty sure that I have cancer because she ended up having cancer when her stuff looked the exact same way. But she was going to send me to a specialist. She was going to send me somewhere else, and they were going to look over my paperwork and look over all of my little medical stuff and do their own stuff. And they had to do the biopsy because they weren't going to do it there. And so I'm like, okay, well, how long is that going to be? And so she was like, we don't know because this particular person, he does do pro bono, but his roster is full of the amount of patients that he can do for the year. I think he does like pro bono people once every 6 months or once every year. He's retired since, but this was a thing he was doing that was a part of his curriculum. As far as you being able to get your I don't know, I can't think of it no more. But anyway, to keep your certification up, you have to have a certain amount of hours that you put in of the pro bono stuff. And that's what he was doing. So yeah, y'all, after I met up with the doctor, and that was like one of the first times in my life I actually spent a great amount of time with a doctor in a room where they were really talking to me. Like she really went into depth and was telling me about stuff. And so I felt good. But at the same time, I felt some type of way. So I became really, really antsy and anxious because I'm like, she said cancer though. Like, and at first it didn't really hit me. So then she was like, okay, well, we're done here. I'm going to send you to the social worker. And then after you're done with her, then you can go home. So I'm like, social worker? And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Because this particular social worker, she was going to like talk me through some stuff and let me know about certain options. So I'm talking to her. And she was like, okay, so I'm sure she told you that we were going to send you to a place and like he doesn't have any room for anybody right now. So the next best thing for you, I mean, you're basically going to be on a waiting list to see if he can get you in, if somebody can get you in on the few places where people are able to even get on a list in the hopes of somebody doing some pro bono work or just getting you in for the surgery. So I actually was preparing myself to have to get on somebody's list and figure out how I was going to be on a payment plan to pay for this biopsy and ultimate surgery, right? At this time, I didn't know what stage cancer I had. Okay, y'all, I went out to the parking lot and it hit me. It had already hit me earlier that I was told that I have cancer. But I was just like it's like my life flashed before my eyes. I just felt some type of way. And I instantly was just like, I can't tell my mama. I can't tell my daddy. I can't tell my brother. I can't tell my sister. I can't tell nobody. The only person who knew any of the ins and outs that was going on outside the people at the clinic was my ex, who lives in Huntsville, who's from Huntsville and all that. So it was a lot. And it really hit me at one time like a ton of bricks, and I was in my car. I didn't leave out of the parking lot, right? So I'm sitting in the parking lot, and I was supposed to leave and go run some errands and then go home, but I just couldn't move. So I'm just crying in the car like, Lord, why? Why me? I feel like I'm a good person. Why do I have cancer? So I'm sitting there, and I mean, I really sat there like 45 minutes or so. All of a sudden, I get a phone call, and I look at the number, and it was a 293 number. And I'm like, this ain't my supervisor. Because like, if you know how the numbers work over there in that particular area for DHR, for the WIC office, for all the little area, everything over there, all their numbers start with 293. So I'm like, this got to be somebody from on the inside of like the clinic or somewhere in the doctor's office or whatever. So I answered the phone. Because y'all, I normally don't answer nobody's phone call. I answered the phone, And it was the social worker. So the social worker was like, "Hey, may I speak to da da da?" I was like, "This is she." She was like, "Hey, um, I just saw you a little while ago, and I told you that there weren't any spots available, but the place that I was telling you about before that normally does pro bono for a certain amount of people every few months, a slot literally just opened up. Somebody called and they just said, I just had to do it at a later date and time. And I just wanted to know if you wanted to take that slot." And she told me what day it was going to be on. I was like, I don't care what day it's on. Yes, I'll take it. Because this man is about to perform this biopsy for free. Hallelujah in the name. And you know what I'm saying? Like, if worst came to worst, he might have been able to perform the surgery at a fraction of the cost. So I'm like, yes, book me. Whatever you got to do all it, set all that up. Thank you. So I went from crying because I found out that I had cancer to crying even more because I was just about to really worry and stress over how I'm going to pay for it because I didn't want to put it on my parents' insurance. And then it all worked itself out within an hour. Like, I'm just like, wow, that's one of the times that was like one of the fastest times that something worked for me in my favor like that. Okay, y'all. So I end up going to the appointment. Now, remember, everything first started in the beginning of July. I think it was September when I got the appointment. And he did the consultation and he saw all my stuff and he told me what was going on. So he was like, all right, the next time you come in, we're going to do the biopsy. And I was like, okay. Now, keep in mind, I already was looking at him sideways, playfully, of course, because he graduated from Tuskegee University, okay? He's rivals with my school, Alabama State University. So anytime I saw him, it was an issue because I was usually wearing the University of Alabama or Alabama State University paraphernalia and such and whatever. And he always had something slick to say. And I just, people, like the patients would be in the waiting room looking at us like it was, I go hard for my school and I go hard for my team. Like, do not come for us. So, y'all, the day of the biopsy comes. He already told me that I need to prepare for there to be pain. While he's doing what he's doing, there's going to be some pressure and all of that. So I was like, okay. So he did the biopsy, y'all. I was awake the entire time, and he had a screen up where I could see where he had gone inside of me. And he had gone, and he was literally like showing me stuff and talking to me the entire time. He was like, you see this? These are the polyps and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay. And so he was like, I'm going to take a piece of this and see, send it off to a lab, whatever. So he was like, all right, I'm about to go in now. I'm about to, start removing stuff. So when he did the biopsy, I could feel it. It was very painful. He had to put gauze. He had to stuff gauze inside of me to stop the bleeding. And he gave me like a box or two of gauze for me to rebandage myself throughout the day, the next couple of days, because there wasn't no telling when it was going to stop. He told me that it might have taken longer than what it did take. It didn't take me but like a day and a half for me to like fully stop bleeding, but I didn't trust myself, so I still kept stuffing gauze up in there just in case. I ain't trusted. So then the biopsy came back. It was indeed cancer. It was stage 1. It was caught early, but I still felt some type of way about it. And so he was like, well, you have 3 options of ways to remove it. And so I'm like, okay. He said laser, freezing it, and then he said another way. I forgot what he said. I think he actually was going to have to like cut into me or something. But I was like, you can just laser it out. Like, do what you're going to do. Because all he had to do was go up in me. He didn't have to like do no incision or none of that. So when he did it, the day happened and the surgery happened where he ended up removing it. And there was a lot of pressure, like a whole lot of pressure. It kind of hurt, but since I'm used to terrible menstrual cycles, I wasn't that thrown off. It wasn't that bad to me. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was alert the entire time. I did not have anything to kind of numb my senses or anything like that. If he did anything, I couldn't tell, because anytime anybody do something that's supposed to numb me or help with pain, it don't really work. So that's why when I initially got the biopsy done, they prescribed some medication, like some pain meds. They didn't do nothing. And I was like, I don't even know why. And I really sat up there, y'all. I really sat up there and went and waited for CVS to be open and all this crap, and waited on my medication to be filled, knowing good and well pain medication don't really work for me. I really sat up there. I should have just told him never mind or not even went. But yeah, I sat up there and did that and was just in pain. It seemed like it was worse after the biopsy was done. Anyway, y'all, ended up getting the surgery. He removed everything. Got to a point where I kept having to come back ever so often, to make sure that I was healing up fine and that no new cell growths were happening, no new cancer cells were forming or whatever. Every time he went in, he would show me the screen. This is what it's supposed to look like, and this is what yours look like. And he told me that I was healing exceptionally well and fast. I was like, hallelujah in the name. And it just got to the point where the last time I met up with him, it was the last time. And he was like, we don't have to see each other no more, because you are healed. You do not have cancer anymore. All your cancer has been removed. And I was so happy. It was bittersweet in a sense, because it was kind of fun going to see him, because we would read each other about our schools. But it was fun, and he did his job, and he is retired now, and I'm very thankful that that slot opened up. Whoever dropped out of the race for whatever reason, I appreciate y'all, because I really don't know how I was going to pay for it, because I really was going to have to get out here and get a job, because I didn't have my other job anymore, because I was focused on school and trying to get out of school and graduate. So yeah. Yeah, y'all, it was a lot. But after that ordeal happened, I didn't tell nobody for the longest. I had moved to North Carolina to be with my ex, and before our relationship was over some years ago, we ended up moving here to Virginia or whatever. So I've been in Virginia since 2012. There was a woman that I encountered when I was working at the first job that I worked here, and she was everything. She was so sweet. And I don't know what it was about her and this other woman who has since passed away. She had an asthma attack. She had a bad asthma attack. She died once at work, and then when they were on the road up the street from work trying to get her to the hospital, she died. Like, died. It was so bad, y'all. But anyway, I told the both of them about when I'd been raped and that I had cancer and all this other stuff, and both of them kept telling me, you need to tell your family. You need to tell your parents. Because I never told them that those things ever happened to me, and I experienced cancer and none of that stuff. They said, don't do that, because I kept telling them that's something I'm taking to the grave. Like, no, I ain't telling them that. I don't know why I felt like most of my life, I just never felt comfortable enough telling them certain things, and that's not the way it should be. I should be fully comfortable telling my parents anything going on. Now, if they asked me something, I told them. But yeah, just me coming out of nowhere telling them, I was just like, nah, I can't do that. Okay, so in 2011, New Year's Eve, I got on a bus and I left my ex for a week. So 2012 happened because it was literally the first day of January. I got home, my daddy came and got me from the bus station, and my aunt was on the phone with my mama. They are best friends. They talking, and she found out that I was at the house. So she was like, oh, let me talk to my niece. So she talking to me. We had a good old conversation. She was so excited and told me I need to come and see her ASAP. I said, okay, I'll come see you. And at this time, I didn't know that I was going to be stupid enough to go back to my ex, but he convinced me to come back to him and all this other crap, whatever. So before all that happened, when I gave the phone back to my mama, my aunt revealed to my mama that she had breast cancer. So then my mama got off the phone kind of fast, and I ain't think nothing of it, but I was like, okay, because if you know them, they stay on the phone all day. If they get off the phone fast, somebody calling back pretty soon after that. So anyway, my mama summoned all of us into the living room, told us that my aunt had cancer, and that she found out she had cancer before Thanksgiving, but didn't say nothing because she didn't want to ruin Christmas for nobody. And we looking like, what? You over here suffering through the holidays with this information, and we didn't know. So then after that came out, I felt compelled to tell my folks that I had cancer. Why did I look at my daddy? That's the one thing I shouldn't have done. I looked at my daddy, and the look on my daddy's face, I ain't never seen my daddy look like that ever in life. My daddy looked so helpless because I'm a daddy's girl. My daddy lived for me and my sister, and he don't play when it comes to us. So the fact that that was happening to me and he wasn't able to stand in my place to take on that situation, you could just tell he was so hurt by it. So yeah, it was a lot. But I was like, but I'm okay, y'all. I don't have cancer anymore. It was removed. I had to be sneaky about it, but I got rid of it. It's gone. The cancer is gone. I don't have a bill. I don't have an outstanding bill or nothing like that. So you ain't got to worry about that. Like, I just was trying to fully reassure them that everything was okay. I am okay. Like, I really had to turn away from my daddy and like sneak away tears that I had to wipe away because it was too much. I ain't never seen my daddy like that before. So yeah, I finally told them, and I'm at a place in my life now where 99% of the things that go on with me, if something's going on, I'm going to tell them. Where before all of that, I would have never told them nothing. So now I tell them little stuff. I tell them stuff that I would never tell them now. So yeah, I'm glad that we are in a better place where I can talk to them about that stuff. I'm glad that I am cancer free. Y'all, I have been cancer free for 15 years. In October of this year, it will make 16 years that I have been cancer free. So if this gets posted, that means that I finally had the nerve and got up enough nerve to post it, because I have recorded videos like this. I don't know how many times. I've lost count now, and I've tried to upload them and I couldn't, and I would just delete them. So yeah. If any of y'all have ever had cancer, or y'all knew of anybody that was really close to you who had cancer and you want to discuss it, if you beat it or if they beat it, or if you just need to discuss it to kind of have a place to vent, feel free to do so. Let's get down in the comments and discuss it, okay? All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you have not done so. All right. See y'all later. Bye.